Do you discern by feeling alone? Then this video is for you. Hello, welcome back for more musings with Alini, me. Today I want to talk to you about discernment of spirit. I'm not going to cover what discernment is, but more I want to talk to you about how to discern. I will share with you my own method of discernment, and I do want to touch on a reservation I have on a style of discernment, which is discerning by feeling. Different people discern differently, and that is because God speaks to us in a unique way, and He uses a language we usually understand, and that is to make sure that we can differentiate His voice from all the other voices and all the other noise that is out there in the world. Some people discern by feeling, and in my opinion, this is risky, especially if the person has not done a lot of inner work and they do not have awareness and insight into their internal psychological processes. Some people think that the enemy is the devil or the demons, but that's not true. We can also be our own enemy, and particularly our own psychological tendencies, our own habits and behaviors and meaning-making systems and thought processes. And some of these are usually not known to us. We are not aware of them. And they can actually play a big part in confusing us when we are hearing God's voice. St. Ignatius of Loyola talks about this, and he actually, when he talks about the enemy, he doesn't just talk about the devil and the demons, he actually talks about our psychology and our psyche, and always warns us to take it into account. Why is that important? I will just let you know now. I'm gonna tell you a little scenario, a little story, okay? Fictional story, so bear with me, it's gonna be a little bit long. Let's talk about this person called Vic. Male or female, doesn't matter. Vic, okay? Victoria or Vicky, I don't care. Vic is part of a ministry at church, and every month they have meetings and all of that. Vic actually has a fear of public speaking, and they also have a lot of shame. They don't think they are good enough, they don't think they are smart enough, they don't think that they have anything of value to add. So whenever the members of the ministry are together and they are doing discussion nights and talks and all of that, Vic feels very hesitant to share and give their opinion out of fear of humiliation, out of fear that they sound stupid and what they have is of no value. And what happens to Vic is when they're sitting in that beautiful circle, everyone is sharing, suddenly Vic starts to feel palpitations, palms go sweaty, underarms go hot and sweaty, and they start to feel a little bit uneasy. And in their heads, all they're thinking about is like, oh my God, what if the leader of the discussion puts me on the spot and asks me a question or wants me to contribute? So Vic now is feeling very uncomfortable. The nervous system is revved up to Vic. To Vic's nervous system, Vic is right now in danger. Your nervous system does not know whether you are being chased by a lion or you're just afraid of speaking up. They don't know. All they know is that you are under threat right now because your heart rate is high, you're sweaty and all of that. So your nervous system is going to kick into the usual flight, fight, fawn, freeze, and to all that thing. It depends on what you are kind of designed, molded over the years to behave as. So this is what's going to happen. The nervous system is going to try and get Vic out of the situation into safety. Okay? And this is when Vic starts to feel that flight mode. But Vic doesn't understand all of this. All they feel is this unease, okay? The brain is sometimes a lot smarter though. So, what I forgot to tell you about Vic is that Vic loves working in the kitchen. Vic enjoys cooking cookies and desserts and baking, and they are known for their hospitality. And it is actually one of their gifts. It's one of their charisms. And all the members in the ministry, in the church, they praise Vic for the cooking, and they praise Vic for their hospitality and the service that they do in the church, okay? So Vic is sitting there feeling anxious, and the brain is trying to find an exit out of this situation, and Vic's attention goes to the time, and it's like, oh, soon the meeting is going to be over, and it's going to be time for refreshments and just chat. It is time to go to the kitchen and set that refreshment table. So automatically, Vic feels a calling, a pull towards the kitchen. And Vic confuses this for a prompting from God or a calling from God. It's their charism, it's their gift, it's calling to serve and be hospitable. Meanwhile, it is not that. It is actually Vic's nervous system who knows that the kitchen is a sanctuary for Vic. And once Vic goes to the kitchen, Vic will be safe and the threat will be gone. So Vic, being a good Christian, they answer the prompting. They get up, they excuse themselves, and they go to the kitchen. Vic breathes a sigh of relief. The heart rate starts to slow down, the tremors start to ease, and suddenly joy flows in as Vic is now setting out all the biscuits and the homemade lemon cookies and all these little cakes and sweets that they're setting out on this beautiful table, and they're preparing the tea and the coffee. And Vic thinks that this is the peace of God. This is grace, because now they are living out their calling. They are doing their charism. And we all know that when we have gifts and we use the gift, we actually feel joy, we lose track of time, we get filled with grace and peace. And Vic confuses that. Thinks that this peace that she's experiencing is that. Actually, it's not. It is simply the nervous system got you out of a threatening situation, and now you are in your sanctuary, you are in your comfort zone, and the nervous system is going, phew. And instead, all these other hormones are kicking in. And Vic thinks this is grace, this is peace, this is God, this is the fruits of the Spirit. No, it's not. It's just a concoction of hormones that are now flowing in your body, okay? Because the threat is gone. Pretty much. That's what Vic is, okay? But Vic does not know this about themselves, okay? Vic has never done any reflective work. Vic has never sat down and faced their own selves, their own biases, their own insecurities. They've never done any of that. They've never seen a counselor or a therapist. They've never been to spiritual direction. They've never done any of that, okay? And if they've done it, very fleeting, let's not go deep. So Vic's internal process is actually very much out of Vic's awareness, okay? And then what happens? The meeting is over, everyone goes to the table so that they can start mingling and chatting, and oh my God, everybody thanks Vic for the amazing table they have set, and how good those lemon cookies are, Vic. And Vic, all that complimenting and all that praising reinforces her charism of hospitality, which is a good thing, but it also takes away the attention from the truth, okay? This tells her that yes, this peace that I felt is God's grace, is the fruit of the Spirit. Problem. And this is why discerning by feeling alone is risky, in my opinion. Because so many times you could be praying about something that's causing you anxiety or a problem or something that you really, really, really desire, and your brain kicks in. And your brain is not, your nervous system is a big thing. It's not a small, minute thing. Your nervous system kicks in and it gives you the answers that you want, okay? The answers that bring you comfort, bring you peace, or put you at ease. And even if the answer isn't a negative, you'll be surprised by how self-sabotaging people are. And because of their internal processes and negative thinking and all these thoughts, it's not, God said no, yeah, I had peace about it. No, you didn't have peace about it. You just didn't dare to think and believe that God would say yes. That's pretty much it. There's a huge difference. Why? Because self-sabotage. And this is why I really urge people to become very aware when they are just using discerning by feeling. I prayed about it and I got filled with peace, or I had I feel very calm about it, I feel very peace about it, I feel it's from God. I need a lot more than feeling to believe it is from God. And let's not forget Prophet Jeremiah and what he said. The heart is deceitful above all things. Who can understand it? I, the Lord, search the heart and test the mind. It's in the Bible, people. The heart is deceitful, okay? Search the heart and test the mind. Which brings me to how to discern. How do I discern? I can't tell you how to discern, but I can share with you how I discern. 2 points. Prayer and evidence. Okay? So under prayer, so of course when I'm discerning, the first thing that I do is I pray about it. I talk to God about it, okay? And during prayer, sometimes I do get senses. Sometimes I also feel peace. I also feel calm. And sometimes I might get a word, a vision, or a sense, a no, a yes. Sometimes I feel like in my guts it's doing this, like things are closing, and that usually tells me no, don't. And sometimes I feel an opening, but that doesn't happen every time I pray. Sometimes I do get a sense, a word, or an image, and sometimes I don't. And even when I do get a vision, and in a few instances where God has given me paragraphs, I test the mind and the spirit. So what I do, I go, okay, all right. If God said this, when God speaks the word, it will happen. It will be realized. Okay? No devil in hell, no man on earth can stop God's word from manifesting. Okay? If God has ordained this, if God has spoken this over my life, if this yes was from God, this no was from God, I will live to see the day it materializes. Okay? My eyes will witness it in real life. It will not just remain a sense, an image. It will poof emerge in real life. Okay? So evidence. I usually am very patient. I do not discount what I've heard, what I've seen, especially if it, of course, you have to make sure also it has to carry the fruits of the Spirit. It has to be theologically correct. So if God has said something or spoken in a way that doesn't sound biblically correct, then to me, I know that's not God. If it sounds like my own criticism or my own wishful thinking, or because I know my processes, I know how I think. If it sounds like something that's more in line with how I think, how I interpret situations, how my own meaning making and probably my own insecurities talking here, or my own desire is speaking here, then again, I discount it, of course. So when you hear God's voice, yes, there has to be peace. Yes, there has to be comfort. Yes, there has to be strengthening and encouragement in the words from God. And it needs to be biblically correct. And it needs to be theologically right. And also it needs to bear the fruits of the Spirit. So if after receiving a word during prayer, you feel depressed, you curl up in a ball and you cry, oh God, he said no, but why? I'm not really sure there's fruits of the Spirit here. I'm not saying God doesn't say no. And because not all of the desires in our heart are good for us, so sometimes a lot of times he will say a lot of no's and we'll be unhappy. But what I'm talking about is look for the fruits of the Spirit, and go open the Bible and find what the fruits of the Spirit are. This is when it comes to judging whether that voice that you've heard, that image that you've seen, if it's from God or not. And then I'm going to go back now to point 2, which is evidence. So like I said before, unfortunately, God doesn't run on our timing. He runs on his timing. So I have to wait. I have to practice a lot of patience. I'm not good at it, but I have to be patient because I can't rush God. And I have to wait weeks, months. For some things, I have waited actually for a few years to see his word realize and manifest. And I actually did not believe that was God. I had a hunch that it was God, but I was still always discerning, always testing until I saw it with my own eyes and I was like, it was God. So patience, wait for it to manifest. That's the biggest proof, that's the biggest test that voice was God. And other than that, I would say a lot of times when I don't get, whether I do get a sense or whether I don't get a sense in prayer, I am usually a very inquisitive person, okay? I can't rest until I get something that's a lot more tangible, okay? So usually I'm someone who researches, I look for more information. For example, if it's a course that I'm applying for, I might research the university or the speaker a lot more. I find out more information. If it's not through Googling, I might talk to someone I trust, someone who I know is wise, and someone who I know has experience in whatever is it that I'm seeking. For example, let's say I'm looking for a job and there's this particular company I want to work for, but I'm not sure. Then I ask people who are in the industry and who I trust their wisdom and their experience, and I collect information. And then that information sometimes alone tells me whether God's answer is yes or no. That information that I collect, the data that I collect, sometimes reveals to me straight away whether I should go for this or not, whether there's God in this or not, very immediately. Okay, so that's another thing. Seek counsel, research, get more information, especially when it is not very clear. Finally, this is the part that I rely on the most. Like I said in the beginning, if God speaks a word, it will realize. My eyes will live to see the day when his word manifest, okay? Materialize. And this is what I call is highest most evidence for me. It's the strongest evidence for me that this was from God. And that is the doors. Usually when I pray about something, when I want something to happen, when I'm asking for something or I need guidance about something, regardless to whether I do get a sense or not, I actually wait to see what God is doing. Because if God blesses it, he will open doors and he will make a way and he will provide people, finances, opportunities, circumstances. He will provide. Okay, for example, I've been wanting to train in ministry, and I've been wanting to train in ministry for a few years, but I'm always not sure, is it really a calling from God or is it just me? And I've looked at a few options and nothing really spoke to my heart. I was like, I'm always coming up with excuses, but I'm not sure if they're excuses or they're obstacles from God, until recently when finally something came to me without me looking at all. There was a flyer for a course that's running and it came to me by surprise, and I don't know much about that particular ministry, but then when I read into it, I realized this is what I've been looking for. So God provided, and this is when I know that this calling to ministry was something that it was God's voice all along. Okay, it's just that it took time, a few years. The right time, the right place has to happen. It's God's wisdom, not mine. And he provided. I wasn't looking, I wasn't searching. He provided, it came to me. So God opened a door, okay? And he's leading me. And there are many times in my life where doors close. I'll be praying for a job or a course or relationship, anything, family issues, personal issues, and I will look ahead and I'll be like, oh, it's all clear. And suddenly, as I'm walking towards my target, boom, 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 all these walls appear, obstacles out of nowhere appear. And I know God is closing that door. God is saying no, no, no. Of course, I can be stubborn and keep pushing through, but because I've learned how God talks to me, I know when he's doing things that are a representation of him closing the door. He's closing the door and he's redirecting me. No, no, no. So this is the discernment technique that I use the most. My circumstances. What is happening around me? What is God doing and working around me? Is he opening doors or is he closing them? And a lot of times I looked at something one day. There was this course that I wanted to do, and there was so many obstacles, and I was like, oh, it's not going to happen, but let me try. I prayed about it, and kid you not, mountains moved, the sea parted. Every time there's an obstacle, phew, it just disappears without me doing anything. And I go to the next stage, oh, another obstacle, and by the time I think I'm going to resolve it, phew, it's gone. It was gone. Things were resolving themselves. And that's how I knew God wanted me. God said yes, and he had blessed this course that I was doing, and he wanted me to do it because he removed all the obstacles, even though there were many, and some of them I couldn't resolve myself. That's what I do. I always look at circumstances. How is God providing? What is he providing? Is he leading me to it, or is he holding me back and steering me away? And that is my best discernment technique that never fails me. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up here because I feel like I've talked a lot and there's a lot of information that maybe you need to absorb and process. And I really hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, like it or give me the thumbs up. It depends on what platform you're watching this video on. And if you do find that there's wisdom in it and that someone you know might benefit from it, please share the video with them, flick it to them, tag them in the comments, let them know about this video. And other than that, I leave you with God's peace. Take care, look after yourselves, and look after each other. And until next time, God bless.